Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Greg's Sports, and this is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Friday, June 20th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. It's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. After that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. And then in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that I have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will be posting as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evenings. So definitely be on the lookout for all that information as we do head into lock. But without further ado, we'll get right into it. The core picks, we're going to start off at that pitcher position. We got Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins, $9,100, averaging just under 36 fantasy points per game on the season. Going against the Milwaukee Brewers, and he has pretty good history versus the Milwaukee Brewers in the past. He had 55 points against them earlier this season, 24 last year in 2024. If we look at what Joe Ryan's done so far on the season, he's got 7 wins. His ERA is at 2.92 at this point in time. Once again, averaging just under 36 fantasy points per game at $9,100. Looks like a pretty good value at that pitcher spot just in general. Then we're going to move down to our hitters. We're going to start off with Xander Bogaerts. I'm going to play him at second base here because we do have another shortstop here, but you can play him at shortstop at the same time as well. $2,700, averaging just over 8 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Kansas City Royals. It is Michael Lorenzen as their expected starting pitcher, and he is 4 for 4 versus Michael Lorenzen in his career, so some pretty good history there. He has at least 1 hit in 3 out of his last 4 games. However, he has no multi-hit games, no home runs during that time span. Only 1 double-digit performance, but 3 games and 9 fantasy points or higher. So kind of a floor play just in general, but could potentially have some upside at the same time as well. If we look at what he's done so far on the season, .227 batting average, 3 home runs, 27 RBIs. Once again, averaging just over 8 fantasy points per game at $2,700. Then we're going to move down to our shortstop with Bo Bichette, $3,100, averaging over 10 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against Chicago White Sox, and their expected starting pitcher is going to be Davis Martin. And he is 1 for 1 versus Davis Martin in his career, so very small sample size there. But Bo Bichette has at least 1 hit in 3 out of his last 4 games, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 2 home runs, 2 double-digit performances. So he's doing pretty well in that small stretch as of late. If we look at what he's done on the season in totality, .272 batting average, 10 home runs, 44 RBIs, once again averaging over 10 fantasy points per game at $3,100. Definitely do like the upside that he could have in this game overall. Then we're going to move down to the outfield. We got Jordan Beck as our first outfielder, $3,500, averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game on the season. Obviously, Coors Field is going to boost up the price tag for these 2 outfielders just in general, but both these guys are going to be going against Zach Gallen as the expected starting pitcher. Jordan Beck, $3,500, once again averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game on the season, and he is 1 for 3 with 1 home run versus Zach Gallen in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 6 out of his last 7 games, 1 home run during that time span, 4 double-digit performances, and 5 games of 9 fantasy points or higher. So definitely do like what he's been doing as of late. If we look at what he's done so far on this season, .263 batting average, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs. Once again, averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game at $3,500. And then last but not least, we're going to go down to Mickey Moniak at $3,100. Been doing really well as of late. He is also going against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen on the mound once again. And he is 2 for 6 with 1 home run versus Zach Gallen in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games. 3 multi-hit games during that time span, 3 home runs, and 4 double-digit performances. So, like I said, he's been doing really well as of late. Obviously, paying up for a $3,100 Mickey Moniak. Maybe a little bit more than we like to do, but you get that Coors Field effect, Coors Field price tag. And he's got a .239 batting average, 9 home runs, 22 RBIs, averaging just under 7.5 fantasy points per game on the season at $3,100. But definitely do like the upside of both those Rockies bats going out in Coors Field for this slate overall. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $13,500 remaining, just under $3,400 remaining per player. So a good amount of room to mix and match as you do see fit. Obviously, don't need to play all 5 of these players together, as stacks will play a pretty big role overall with it being a larger slate. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. So it's going to make for a pretty interesting slate, and most of the ones that I do have down here are going to have very limited, if any, history versus their opposing pitchers. So we got the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going against Justin Hageman of the New York Mets. No history versus him in the past. It is his second career appearance at the major league level, so definitely a lot of upside to be had there. Then we had the Atlanta Braves going against Jansen Junk, who has primarily been a reliever throughout his career, but, he's gotten some extended run here, kind of out of the bullpen, expected to start the game for the Marlins. Should be some upside there. The Braves haven't hit him very much in the past, but Alex Verdugo, Sean Murphy are the two guys with the biggest amount of history versus him. Then we have the Toronto Blue Jays going against Davis Martin. Not a long list of history there. Mainly it's going to be Bo Bichette and Andres Gimenez as the two guys that have hit him before. And then last but not least, we have the Miami Marlins going against a guy named Dieter Fuentes, who is a 20-year-old rookie. He only has one start at the AAA level. His last 4 starts in the minors have been pretty good, but they kind of rushed him through the minors. Probably not ready to make his MLB debut. If you want a sneaky stack, the Marlins could definitely be that for Friday slate overall. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP teams to stack for Friday, June 20th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again in the morning, we'll be listing my early morning weather report. That'll have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be posting as many of the starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely be sure that you are checking up down in that comment section, especially as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. We also have my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, and that typically comes out on Wednesdays. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Friday, June 20th.